The placement of Saturn in the 10th house of a natal chart is one of the most significant and formidable positions in astrology. Because Saturn is the natural ruler of the 10th house and the sign of Capricorn, it is accidental dignity here, meaning the planet's energy aligns perfectly with the house's themes of structure, public reputation, and career. However, Saturn is never a free gift. It represents the great teacher, and in the 10th house, your life's work becomes the classroom. The weight of the crown. Individuals with this placement often feel a heavy sense of responsibility from a very young age. There is an innate understanding that nothing in life is truly free and that one's status must be earned through grit and persistence. You likely possess an old soul quality regarding your ambitions. While your peers might be content with entry-level jobs or temporary gigs, you are likely looking 30 years down the road, calculating the moves necessary to reach the summit of your chosen mountain. This drive often stems from a deep-seated fear of failure or insignificance. Saturn creates a void that we feel compelled to fill. In the 10th house, that void is public validation and professional mastery. You may be your own harshest critic, feeling as though you haven't achieved enough even when you are objectively successful. This can lead to a persona that appears serious, stoic, or even cold to the public, as you prefer to be respected rather than simply liked. The father figure and authority. The 10th house traditionally represents the father or the more dominant parental figure. With Saturn here, the relationship with authority is often complex. You may have had a parent who was strict, demanding, or emotionally distant, someone who emphasized duty over play. Alternatively, the father figure may have been physically absent, forcing you to become your own authority figure prematurely. This early dynamic creates a lifelong preoccupation with the law. You might find yourself constantly navigating your relationship with bosses, the government, or societal expectations. There is a recurring theme of having to prove yourself to those in power. Interestingly, as you age, you often become the very authority figure you once feared, embodying the archetype of the wise, disciplined leader who expects excellence from others because you demand it of yourself. Career trajectory, the slow ascent. If you are looking for overnight success, Saturn in the 10th house will likely disappoint you. This is the placement of the late bloomer. Saturn's influence acts as a series of delays and tests. In your 20s, you might face setbacks, glass ceilings, or a feeling that your hard work is going unrecognized. These are not punishments. They are Saturn's way of ensuring that when you finally reach the top, you have the character and foundation to stay there. The Saturn return, occurring around ages 29 and 58, is particularly pivotal for you. The first return often brings a moment of truth regarding your career path. If you have been working for the wrong reasons, such as purely for money or to please a parent, Saturn may dismantle that structure to force you onto a more authentic path. If you have been diligent, this period can mark a massive promotion or the beginning of a legacy-defining project. Reputation and public legacy. Your public image is characterized by integrity and reliability. People see you as someone who can handle a crisis and keep their head down when things get tough. You are the rock of your professional circle. However, the shadow side of this placement is a paralyzing fear of public humiliation. You may be so terrified of making a mistake in front of others that you avoid taking necessary risks. Learning to separate your human self from your professional title is the great lesson here. You are more than your resume. While Saturn wants you to build a monument to your hard work, it also warns against the Ozymandias effect, building a kingdom of stone while losing your spirit in the process. Ultimately, Saturn in the 10th house promises great rewards, but only in exchange for time. You are building a skyscraper, not a tent. By the second half of life, many with this placement find themselves in positions of significant power, having mastered their craft and earned a reputation that is as unshakable as the planet itself. While the 10th house provides the stage, the zodiac sign occupying that house dictates the flavor of your ambition and the specific obstacles Saturn will put in your path. Here is a brief look at how Saturn in the 10th house manifests through the elements and specific signs. Fire signs: Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. In fire signs, Saturn acts as a cooling, stabilizing force. There is a tension between your natural desire for bold, fast action and Saturn's demand for patience. Aries, you must learn that true leadership isn't just about being first, it's about finishing what you start. Career success comes through pioneering with discipline. Leo, success is tied to your creative legacy. You may struggle with a need for applause, but find your greatest power when you take on the role of the responsible, dignified mentor. Sagittarius, your professional life is linked to higher learning or philosophy. You are tasked with turning abstract visions into practical, ethical systems. Earth signs, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. This is where Saturn is most comfortable. The focus is on tangible results, security, and physical mastery. Taurus, you seek a career that offers enduring financial stability. You may be slow to change paths, but you build wealth and reputation through relentless persistence. Virgo, professional success is found in the details. You gain authority by becoming an indispensable expert or a master of technical craft. Capricorn, Saturn is in its home sign here. This is the ultimate power placement, but the burden of responsibility is heaviest. You are the architect of your own empire. Air signs, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Here, Saturn's influence is intellectual and social. Your reputation is built on your ideas, your fairness, or your contribution to the collective. Gemini, success comes through communication or specialized knowledge. You must learn to focus your intellectual energy on one long-term goal rather than scattering it. Libra, your career often involves justice, partnerships, or aesthetics. You are tasked with maintaining professional diplomacy and balance under pressure. Aquarius, you are the disciplined rebel. Your legacy is often tied to social reform or technological advancement, bringing structure to unconventional ideas. Water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. This is perhaps the most difficult combination, as Saturn's cold structure meets the fluid world of emotion and intuition. Cancer, you feel a deep emotional responsibility toward your public role. You may end up parenting your employees or building a business that focuses on care and protection. Scorpio, your career often involves transformation, research, or handling other people's resources. You gain power by navigating the darker or more complex sides of life with integrity. Pisces, you are tasked with bringing structure to the spiritual or creative realms. You may struggle with feeling lost in your career until you find a way to serve a higher purpose through a grounded profession. When Saturn transits your 10th house, it is as if the cosmic auditor has moved into your office. This is a period of intense professional scrutiny, where the universe asks you to account for every decision, shortcut, and achievement you've made over the last several years. It is often described as one of the most significant transits for worldly status, marking a time when your public life reaches a critical turning point. The peak of the mountain. The transit begins when Saturn crosses your midheaven, MC, the highest point in your chart. This is a harvest moment. If you have worked with integrity and discipline, this transit often brings the ultimate reward, a promotion, a position of authority, or public recognition for your expertise. You are finally seen as the master of your domain. However, if you have been coasting or building on a shaky foundation, the transit of the midheaven can feel like a fall from grace. Saturn exposes what isn't working. It may bring a sudden loss of status or a realization that the career you've spent years building no longer fulfills you. This is not meant to be cruel, it is Saturn's way of clearing away the rot so you can build something that will actually last. Increased weight and responsibility. As Saturn moves through the house, the primary theme is increased load. You are likely to find yourself with more work, more people to manage, and higher stakes. It often feels like you are on stage 24/7. Every move you make is watched by peers, bosses, or the public. This transit demands extreme accountability. You cannot hide behind excuses or blame others. You are being asked to parent yourself and take full ownership of your trajectory. While the workload can feel exhausting, sometimes leading to a desire to quit or hide away, the pressure is actually tempering your professional character, turning coal into a diamond. Redefining the parental legacy. Because the 10th house is tied to authority figures and the father, this transit often brings shifts in these relationships. You might find yourself taking care of an aging parent, dealing with a particularly demanding boss, or finally breaking free from a parental expectation that has dictated your career choices. The ultimate goal of this transit is autonomy. Saturn wants you to stop looking for external fathers or authorities to tell you you're doing a good job. By the time Saturn leaves this house, you are meant to be your own authority, standing firmly on the foundation you have built with your own two hands. Long-term strategy versus short-term frustration. It is common to feel a sense of slow motion during this transit. Promotions may be delayed, or a project you expected to finish in months takes years. The key to navigating this period is to adopt a multi-year perspective. Avoid shortcuts. Saturn will almost always penalize quick wins during this transit. Embrace the grind. The repetitive, boring work you do now is what creates the solid ground for the next 29 years. Protect your reputation. Be scrupulously honest. In the 10th house, your integrity is your most valuable currency. When Saturn finally exits the 10th and moves into the 11th, you typically emerge with a more realistic, grounded, and respected version of yourself. You may be tired, but you will be unshakable. Subscribe, like and share.